And here, Channel 5 Action News, coming at you with some D-Day news. Yeah, that's right, D-Day. Big day for America. Largest air, land, sea invasion of ever. That's all I'm going to say. Ever. Tyler, give us some facts.
The Germans were prepared for the Americans as they came aboard on D-Day because they had previously built concrete shelters because they had time to do such a thing. And the Americans' plan was to drop paratroopers behind them to take out people in the cliffs. But it didn't work because the weather was really bad, as you may have heard or not have already. And so they didn't kill any of the Germans up in the cliffs, who acted as snipers and took out all the people coming on board. But it was still really a good victory for the Americans because we lost 2,000 soldiers, but we still overpowered the hill and took Normandy back as a place.
The forecast for Monday, June 5th, was gale force winds and overcast skies, which was not right for the D-Day operation, or Operation Overlord. On the night of June 6th, there was a small pocket of good weather. So gale force winds and overcast skies were out of the picture. With that, with the darkness, airborne troops could move in and bomb Germany, or France, if needed. On the island of Normandy, when the troops came in, because there was such a low tide, they could see the mines and avoid them, meaning we'd have more troops to fight Germany and France. This weather continued. It was only a small pocket, and because for the past couple of days there had been overcast skies and gale force winds, the Germans were not expecting us at all, so we had the upper hand advantage. Stay tuned for your forecast for the 5 days.
Along the 7,000 yards of Normandy shore, German defenses were as close to that of the American wall as any of the beaches. Enemy positions that looked down from the bluffs as high as 90 to 120 feet. By mid-morning, Lieutenant General Omar Bradley considered pulling off the beach and landing troops elsewhere along the coast. However, during these dark hours, bravery and initiative came to the fore.
Soldiers began to cross the fire-swept beach, supported by Allied naval gunfire. The American infantrymen gained heights and beach exits and drove the enemy inland. The beach is now known as Bloody Omaha because of the 2,200 soldiers' casualties suffered by the American troops who landed there on D-Day. High cliffs and strong German defenses made this defense one heck of a ride for the American men.
The Germans saw the Americans. Welcome. We already did that part. The Germans were well aware that the Americans were coming because they saw them coming in the winter. And they already had bunkers built. So the Germans were like, oh man, we should kill them. The Germans were prepared for the Americans because they were on the land, and then the Americans were in the air, but because the weather was so bad, keep going. Because the weather was so bad, the paratroopers went everywhere, and they couldn't kill the Germans because they were like way off course. So then the Germans weren't killed, and then when the dudes on the water came up, they were like, we can kill you. And then they shot them a bunch of times, 2,000 times, completely. And they built bunkers beforehand, so they were prepared. And that's why the Germans were prepared.
On the night of June 6th, there was a small pocket of time in which the weather was good enough so the troops could come in. Because of the darkness, airborne troops could come in from the sky. Louder? Small pocket of good weather only came on one day, the night of June 6th, which allowed the darkness for airborne troops to come in. Also, with the moon, there was a lower tide. On the night of June 6th, there was a pocket of good weather, which allowed the troops to move in both land, air, and sea. Anyway.
Hi.
Oh.
You started. No.
The landing of the infantry divisions and army rangers on Omaha Beach was even more difficult than expected. When the first wave landed at 6:30 a.m., the men found that naval gunfire and pre-landing air bombardments had not softened German defenses. Along the 7,000 yards of Normandy shore, German defenses were at close.
Because this happened at night, there was a lower tide, so the sea troops could move in and could see the mine.
The Germans were prepared for the Americans because they had previously built bunkers there just on the off chance that such a thing was going to happen. And are you flipping me off?